Tonight on Ctv3 News, new sugar regulation laid before the House. It goes without debate. Lotteries Control Amendment Bill tabled at the House. We'll tell you how much money Brads was raking in from the nightly Belize and the Sunday lottery draw. UAP's Ugo Pat chastises GOB for awarding the BSCFA $1 million in subsidy for fertilizer. And the North sees an increase in dengue cases. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Friday, May 19th, 2023.
Special guest in the audience tonight, legendary record executive, Mr. Clive Davis.
My voice is gone. What? You start the show tonight. No talking back. I'm your mother.
There's a boy I know. He's the one I dream of.
What's your name again?
Whitney Elizabeth Houston.
Wait, no! It's on. It's on. Listen. Well, I know if he really loves me.
My dream, sing what I want to sing, be how I want to be.
I say a prayer with every heartbeat.
Reach as big an audience as I can.
Common criticism of you, your music isn't black enough.
Look, I don't know how to sing black, and I don't know how to sing white either. I know how to sing.
I might have just heard the greatest voice of her generation.
Maybe.
Maybe. It's got to have a hook.
A hook?
Yeah.
I'll give it a hook.
And now, the hottest match of the evening. Get ready for action! Here they come. Amazing! They're unstoppable, unbeatable. They have them on the ropes. The heat rises to the top. 1, 2, and 3.
They're on fire! Chiladas.
Fire up the taste of Belize with the new Chiladas crunchy tortilla taco chips in its hot chili flavor. Fiery habanero brings the heat.
They're on fire! Chiladas.
From Snackers, done right, done here.
I wanted to show them something that wasn't an illusion. Something that was real. Something that they could see and touch.
Humans and dinosaurs can't coexist. We created an ecological disaster.
Ellie Sattler.
Alan Grant.
You didn't come out all this way just to catch up now, did you?
You coming or what?
That's another plane, right?
Not exactly.
Don't move.
with the news, also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7. I am Joanna Rodriguez. Today, ministers met in Belmopan, and perhaps the most important bill tabled during today's special sitting of the House of Representatives was the Lotteries Control Amendment Bill 2023, which seeks to transfer control over to the government of Belize. This comes following the cancellation of the lucrative contract to administer the nightly Bolido, as well as the Sunday lottery draw from Brad's Gaming Group. That contract was cancelled after the Brisson administration made ghastly discoveries of the administration of the contract under the tenure of the United Democratic Party between 2010 to 2020. In his presentation in today's sitting, Prime Minister John Briceño highlights some of those figures, which shows the inconsistency during the time of the UDP compared to this administration taking over in 2020. We will get into those figures later on in the newscast, but first we highlight the plans of this government to transfer control of the lotteries back to the Belizean people.
The plan is then to establish a government-owned company which will have its own legislation that defines its key functions and responsibilities. For example, this company, which the government will establish as the Belize Government Lotteries Limited, the BGLL, will be required to promote, conduct, and manage lottery schemes, B, to distribute earnings from the lotteries, all the winnings, all the profit from the lotteries, it to administers to the National Health Insurance, the NHI, and to the official charities fund, which we hope we could do some more monies for sports for young people, and maybe even some money for education. C, ensure that the service provided is of international industry standards, and D, to comply with its lotteries license conditions and the respective laws. BGLL will be a company with a core mandate for the sale of the government lottery services to provide revenue to the government of Belize to fund the NHI and the official charities fund. It will be run by a board of directors that will meet regularly to set corporate management and oversight policies of the corporation. The day-to-day management of the corporation will be administered by a managing director who will be assisted by an IT specialist, a financial controller administrator, customer service, marketing, and a quality assurance compliance manager.
With control of the franchise carefully monitored and regulated, Prime Minister Briceño says the hope is to allow Belizeans access to a more modernized system.
There will be a tendering process to identify adequate master agents. These are the persons who or entities that will be allowed to distribute Bolido. 4 master agents will be chosen, 1 for the north, for the south, 1 for the east, and 1 for the west of the country. The BGLL will build a digital platform and begin setting up an extensive sale distribution network through these 4 master agents. These master agents will have an agreement with the corporation to have sales countrywide through sub-agents and electronic sales. These 4 master agents will be required to have a bank surety of a specific value to cover winnings. The master agents will also be required to allow their sub-agents to make payments of winnings up to a certain amount, and anything exceeding this amount would have to be paid in redeeming centers located in each major town. So we want to make it easy, in small winnings, we allow them that the sellers can pay them, but of a certain amount, the bigger amounts, then they have to come to the main office to be able to collect in each of the major towns. The second implementation phase of the digital lottery platform will see the consumer being able to purchase through their mobile phones. This innovation is projected to increase sales and ensure that consumers are allowed to easily check the winning numbers. This system will also secure winning tickets electronically. So no more about losing your ticket and unable to redeem your prize. Because also, Madam Speaker, there's going to be one center at the corporate headquarters where there's going to be one computer that manages everything. So every sale made by every master agents and their sub-agents is going to be recorded so that the company will know exactly who made that sale, what is the number that was sold, and how much was sold. So if one sub-agent or master agent decide that they don't want to pay a number, they could come to the corporate headquarters and say, see, I bought this number, and they could look it up and say, yes, you won, they have to pay you.
When it comes to the decision taken by GOB to cancel the contract held by Brad's Gaming Company until 2030, the PM says it was fueled by the sheer level of corruption unearthed during the term of the UDP.
From 2010 to 2020, how many houses did you hear the UDP bill from Belize revenues? How many hospital beds did they buy? How much? Not even one. They even hear they make only donation to sports or to something. Nothing. Nothing. How many streets did they fix on the Belize money they made? From big to small countries, the business of lottery is something that governments pay close attention to, and the successful one uses the profits from the lottery to improve the lives of their people, not just a few special interest persons. It is time for us in Belize to use a similar model to what is being employed in places like Costa Rica and Canada to distribute the Belize government lotteries so that those that, like the Costa Rican and Canada, we can use the revenue to help improve the lives of our people. Brad's number one, the license fees in 2010 was 1.5 million, and in 2011 it went up to 2 million. They paid a total of $20 million in license fees because in 2020 they paid only 500 because they apportioned a part of the year when it came to an end. The sales started off at 5.8 million, then 10 million, 9 million, 9.4 million, 12.8 million, 12.3 million, 11.5 million. 2016 gone on to 10.8. In 2017 it gone on to 5.8 million. Gone up in 2018 to 16.7. 2019 when they made a look for one, renew the contract, they increased the salary, the sales to 25.8 million. And then 2020 in the portion that the first part of the year, they had 7.1 million. So they have a sales total of $128.6 million.
Now, while the total revenue reported by Brad's Gaming Company in 10 years under the UDP was a little over $100 million, PM Briseno says that same amount was met in just under 3 years of the PUP administration.
When they realized that the new Lotteries Commission started to take a look at what they're doing, for the first time in 10 years, from 2010 to 2020, and I forget, I said I'm bringing the file for sure, how thick the file. They did no checking on their people. None, not even a letter, absolutely nothing. In 10 years, the Lotteries Commission, back then under the UDP, zero, nothing. They asked them for nothing. And they wonder why. They ask why. Why is it that the then Prime Minister and the ministers in cabinet at least would have said, well, what happened with the lottery? Are they following up to the agreement that we have? Are they complying with the law? 10 years, nothing. No checking. But in 2021, when we wrote the first letter, I think it was in August, the Lotteries Commission wrote the first letter asking for information. All of a sudden, sales gone from $80.7 million to $43.8 million. All of a sudden, you know, $43.3 million in 21 and 22, And a few months in 2013, Madam Speaker, under the PUP, they reported $125.6 million in sales. $125.6 million in sales. Under the UDP, for 10 years, they reported $128.6 million, $3 million more. $3 million more they reported under the UDP for 10 years. And you could basically say like 2 years of PUP government, when you start to check on them, they gone up to $125.6 million.
Even after raking in millions of dollars during a 10-year period, PM Briceño says Brads continues to seek more money from the pockets of the Belizean people.
Of this $125 million, Madam Speaker, you know what we get? $11.1 million. That's what the people of this country get. So you could see why Barron Williams is spending all of the efforts to try to get back this contract. They say, I don't want the contract, give me back my money. I want the profits. But they don't show sales of $5 million, no, you know. They said at $50 million, and we don't project that they'll be going, you don't know how much more. Because they hope now that they could just screen that, and then they don't have to work for the rest of their life, and then pick their life. I hope the leader of the opposition gets some of that. But you are Barrow, you're supposed to be in that. They check out the play. All of a sudden, they start to report the sales, and then start to increase it quickly, and start to see the projections of how much more they may grow, so that the Belizean people will have to pay them a lot of money.
Another significant bill tabled in today's sitting was the Belize Companies Amendment Bill 2023, which includes amendments to both the local and international companies bill. The bill seeks to modernize the Companies Act as Belize currently undergoes evaluation by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development to ensure compliance by companies both foreign and local in relation to reported ownership.
This act provides for the modernization of the company law framework by way of repealing, replacing, and consolidating the International Business Companies Act, Chapter 270, and the Companies Act, Chapter 250, both of them formal acts. So taking the two, international and local, and we're putting them as one. At present, Belize is under assessment by the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD, and is currently preparing for its fourth round mutual evaluation by the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, the CFAT-F. The necessary legislation to meet the technical compliance requirements need to be in place by June. The on-site mutual evaluation takes place in December of 2023. A major element faced in these assessments have been the issue of addressing the transparency and the beneficial ownership of legal persons and arrangements such as companies, foundations, limited liability partnerships, and limited liability companies. This aspect would align with the recently enacted Financial Services Commission Act to ensure accountability on the part of nominee shareholders and nominee directors, and to prevent nefarious activities and reputational damage to the jurisdiction. It would be fair to say then, Madam Speaker, that a major focus these amendments are to specifically address these amendments are to specifically address the information required on beneficial ownership information, like with the Bolido. We have to say who are the beneficial owners, the production of records, documents, information of registered agents, RA, or agents or directors, the keeping and retention of accurate and updated records, and the power of the Commission to request and obtain timely records, documents, or information from the registered agent.
The bill, according to the PM, also seeks to strengthen the act by providing for more practical and clear direction in relation to both local and foreign companies.
The Financial Services Commission has done a full scope analysis of the Act in relation to the relevant FATF recommendation on beneficial ownership, as I just mentioned, and a few deficiencies were identified, which could lead to adverse findings at the time of the mutual evaluation if they are not rectified. Specifically, the bill will ensure that Belize is compliant with the requirements of these recommendations, thereby removing the risk of a non-compliant finding, which would increase the likelihood of an adverse listing by the CFATF. Furthermore, the bill aims to strengthen the Act by providing for more practical and clear directions in respect to foreign companies, liquidation of segregated portfolio companies, notices by gazette or otherwise means of publication of struck companies. We have also extended the period to 12 months for companies under the former Chapters 250 Companies Act and the 270 IBC Act to comply with the new Belize Companies Act. So in effect, we're giving all of these companies 1 year to remove from the old one to the new one that we are presenting. Madam Speaker, there had been a strengthening of the process for obtaining recording beneficial ownership information and to ensure that the information that is required is to be kept is accurate and updated on a timely basis. Although Belize has prohibited bearer shares since 2017, there was a need to also ensure that bearer shares warrants were clearly and explicitly prohibited as well. For those that are not aware, bearer shares are basically a piece of paper that says you own the company. So anybody that has that paper could say, well, this is my company. So they got rid of that in 2017. But we had to make sure that it could be explicitly prohibited in the Act. Along these lines, there is also the need to ensure that nominee directors or shareholders are identified and make such information available to the competent authority.
In the absence of Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Jose Abelardo Mai, Minister of Home Affairs, Kareem Musa laid the sugar industry license to import-export sugar regulations 2023 as a paper before the House of Representatives this morning. As is regulation, the SI was not subject to debate. As previously mentioned, the regulations propose to simplify licensing for the producers and exporters of sugar in Belize, including disclosure of their business deals and contracts, and also to regulate the payment of fair trade premiums to certified cane farmer associations.
Madam Speaker, I rise to present and lay on the table sessional paper number HR 183A/1/13, Sugar Industry License to Import-Export Sugar Regulations 2023.
The Honourable Minister was asked to hold over for the Minister of Agriculture. Honourable members, that paper is ordered to lie on the table.
Not in agreement with the new legislation, the Belize Sugar Industries Limited American Sugar Refining, BSI-ASR, is complementing challenging the legislations as they describe them as retrograde, unnecessary, burdensome, and discriminatory. For the milling company, these new regulations give the government-controlled SICB inordinate and disproportionate power to interfere with the routine operations of a private sector business, such as deciding whether it is a business in good standing and whether it should be issued with an annual license to export sugar. In addition, the company says the disclosure requirements to obtain this license are unduly intrusive, unreasonable, disproportionate, and harmful to their commercial interests. Last night, we told you about Cabinet's approval of $1 million Belize dollars in subsidies for the Belize Sugarcane Farmers Association to be used for fertilizer to improve crop yield. Cabinet made the decision after a full discussion on the sugar industry and the revelation that for 2 years, The Belize Sugarcane Farmers Association, BCFA, had not benefited from premiums derived from fair trade amounting to approximately $3 million. Today, that matter was brought up at the House of Representatives by Corozal North Area Representative Ugo Pat, who was not in agreement with the move.
In principle, we are in full support of this, Madam Speaker, and at no point in time are we saying that there is anything wrong with issuing any assistance, particularly to the agro-productive sector. Where this becomes an issue, Madam Speaker, is when you decide to favor one over the other. I noted the explanation given by government that the Belize Sugarcane Farmers Association had not gotten the premium of fair trade funds for 2 years. On the basis of that knowledge which they had gotten, they decided to issue $1 million worth of fertilizers to the members of the Belize Sugarcane Farmers Association. Probably, if the government had gone a bit deeper into their research, Madam Speaker, they would have noted that at the time that 1,799 members, registered cane farmers, decided to move away from the Belize Sugarcane Farmers Association and join 3 other sugarcane farmers associations, that in that particular year, they relinquished their membership as part of the Belize Sugarcane Farmers Association to join their own. In doing so, Madam Speaker, automatically they lost the access to fair trade funds, which the then Belize Sugarcane Farmers Association and the membership then shared amongst themselves. They lost 1 year of premiums on fair trade. If we are to consider the fact that they lost 1 year of fair trade premium funds and the Belize Sugarcane farmers lost 2 years, why then does this administration decide to give one association $1 million worth of fertilizers and not give the other 3 associations, namely the Progressive Sugarcane Growers Association, which has 812 members, the Corozal Sugarcane Producers Association, which has 576 members, and the Northern Sugarcane Growers Association, which has 411 members. In total, of fertilizers. Madam Speaker, this is a slap on the face to those 1,800 farmers who are not getting that assistance. And I make
But for the Britannia government, the assistance of the BSCFA was of utmost importance, and today Prime Minister John Britannia defended Cabinet's decision.
Now we know the BSCFA has been going through some serious problems with BSI. Mind you, I also have my concerns from time to time with some of the decisions or the positions that BSCFA takes. But at the end of the day, they are Belizean cane farmers, and we have to stand by them. 2 years, they don't get the fair trade money. This last time, 45,000 tons was sold of fair trade sugar. And when you look at how much the other 3 associations delivered in sugar, guess how much? The exact 45,000. So these other 3 associations got all the money from fair trade. And I can understand that. They have the contract, BSCFA no have a contract. But then you question yourself. The rest of the sugar is about 50,000 plus tons of sugar that was sold. They got a premium for the CARICOM sugar. They got a premium for the local market. They got a premium for the US market. And was that premium paid only to the BSCFA? That is the question that we need to ask. Honorable member from Corozal North, we have to stand up for the people. Now, I support the investment that BSI has done, and I want to continue to support them because we need them also. but we have to ensure that both sides are fair. I just got the information on how much they pay extra per ton for U.S. fair trade. $60 U.S. per ton. So in effect, from last year alone, they would owe BSCFA about $3 million if they were to get it. We have to ensure that we can help the BSCFA, Madam Speaker, because they now do not have access to be able to help their farmers. The money from fair trade is to be able to help with the inputs, with fertilizers and herbicides, so that we could try to increase production. When we don't help the BSCFA, like I was saying, you cut your nose to spite your face. Production is going down. And you know that, brother from Corazon North, and if we don't help the BSCFA, what is going to happen to these farmers? The BSCFA still represent more than 50% of the cane farmers in the north. More than 50%. I have visited personally the other two of them. I think Northern, the other one from, I think one is breaking up, no? I was to visit them. All of a sudden, I think they broke up over there and they're moving on I think mostly to progressive. Both of those associations, I was pleasantly surprised of the programs that they are doing. But that does not mean that we are just going to turn our backs on the BSCFA. We have to make sure that they can get some sort of assistance with fertilizer. The Honorable Minister of Agriculture, the Honorable Member from Arinjoak South, has been going all over the place trying to see how he could address this issue. He has even flown to Mexico and even to Morocco, trying to see if we could make an arrangement that Morocco could make a donation for fertilizers for our cane farmers. That is what you're supposed to come up here and commend the Minister of Agriculture, not condemn this government because we're helping the BSCFA with $1 million. I wish you would be able to go to the General Assembly of BSCFA on Sunday and tell them that. The other associations get the money, then get the fair trade money. And BSCFA is in a financial crisis more with their farmers. We know to give them money to be able to run the BSCFA. What we're doing in this instance is the Ministry of Agriculture is negotiating to buy the fertilizer, and then they're going to pass the fertilizer to the association, so that we make sure that $1 million is not spent on administration, but it is spent on the farmers. I am unapologetic, Madam Speaker, to say that we had to do something for the BSCFA, that we had to do something for the members of the BSCFA because they are in a crisis. Sugar cane production is down. It's down all over the world. And if we want to rescue, unlike what the UDP did to citrus, during the UDP, during their 13 years in office, they did nothing to help the citrus farmers. We are proudly doing something to help our Belizean sugar farmers. Thank you, Madam.
After news time tonight, none of the persons detained for questioning into the murder of 19-year-old Belmopan resident Imari Galvez has been charged for her brutal killing. While investigators await the results of the post-mortem in hope that it could assist in solving this latest homicide, the family of the 19-year-old is demanding justice as they carry their own investigations. In the face of such a tragedy, the resolve for justice remains unbroken, reinforcing the urgency to protect the young women of Belize. And today, at the House of Representatives, both Minister of Home Affairs and the Leader of the Opposition sent out condolences to the family of Imari.
Just take this moment for us as a National Assembly, as a House of Representatives, to note the passing, the very gruesome passing of Imari Galvez, who was murdered just a little outside of Belmopan or in Belmopan and taken on the Hummingbird Highway in a very gruesome and heinous fashion. And then this morning as well, we have another incident in which a young lady was stabbed, presumably by her partner. In that instance, the police quick response has led to the apprehension of the individual. But certainly, Madam Speaker, it is very telling of the times that we're living in, and that there are very cruel individuals out there. And I think that we as parents, we as members of this House, we as leaders in our community, we need to do more in terms of condemning this type of gender-based violence, and certainly advocating for stiffer punishments, and advocating for members of the community, the family members, to play a greater role in the lives of our women. If we see something that's going wrong, it is time for us to intervene. If we see consistent abuse taking place, it is time for us to say this is our business as members of the family, as members of the community, and certainly try our very best or endeavor best to ensure that this type of heinous crime does not continue. And so I just want to offer my condolences to the family of Imari Galvez, and at the same time offer our prayers for the young lady that was stabbed this morning.
Also, I share with the Minister of Home Affairs in offering our condolences from the opposition to the family of Imari Galvez. I was able to visit with the family, with the standard bearer from Belmopan, to attend the wake of Miss Joanna and Stan, and we definitely offer our deepest sympathies, Madam Speaker.
As mentioned, Imari Galvez was found off the Hummingbird Highway on Tuesday evening after she went missing between Saturday night and the wee hours of Sunday morning. One of the individuals detained by authorities is Imari's boyfriend, goalkeeper Woodrow West. He was detained in a playoff match between Progresso FC and his team, Verdes FC, here in Orange Walk on Wednesday. West is said to be one of the last persons that saw Imari alive out of her family circle. Coming up next, don't let mosquito bite you. Dengue cases are on the rise here in the north. Stay tuned.
Sign up for Smart Share Plan and save big. Whether you're a small entrepreneur starting up your business, a student on a limited budget, or a family trying to save, this is the plan for you. With unlimited SMS, calls, and data, we help you save. Get up to 5 lines for as low as $30 per line monthly, only with Smart. Sign up today at any Smart showroom or sales manager countrywide. So get your business going, share more memories with friends, and be ready for the day with Smart.
The human body needs a tightly regulated temperature controlling mechanism to function at its best. When this mechanism is overwhelmed or compromised, a person can suffer from heat stroke in hot and humid conditions. In Belize, our tropical humid weather is the ideal formula for persons to suffer from a heat stroke or heat-related conditions. In the following story, reporter Elmer Cornejo visited the professionals to break down what needs to be done to remain cool and safe during the intense high temperatures affecting Belizeans daily.
In a hot environment, evaporation is the main method of heat loss, but it loses effectiveness above a relative humidity of 75%. The human body must maintain adequate temperature to function, otherwise it shuts down and can lead to death. When a person's body becomes excessively heated, its owner may experience a condition known as heat stroke. It is important to know about this condition so that it can be prevented or at least recognized at an early stage, especially during this time of the year when temperatures soar above 90 degrees Fahrenheit.
We have seen especially those people who work in the outdoors, for example, cane cutters who are on the land under the sun working, and people who are doing outdoor activities. Yes, we have seen patients. What's happened with this excessive heat? Our body tends to lose a lot of water and electrolytes, and then we get dehydrated. And with the sun and the heat, we can get the heat stroke. Heat stroke is just the inability of the body to cool down and keep an adequate temperature. And when this happens, certain conditions, as you rightly said, can arise. Anybody can technically experience a heat stroke. Yes, it can be prevented by keeping ourselves well hydrated. With this heat, we need to be drinking a lot of water. It's just a culture that we Belizeans do not tend to drink a lot of water. It is recommended that we drink at least 3 liters of water because we lose through our breathing, we lose through our skin, we lose through our sweats, etc. And if we don't replace that water, then comes the signs of dehydrations, and with this comes the strokes.
Most often, a heat stroke happens when people exercise in very hot and humid weather without drinking enough fluids. But even those who aren't exercising can have a heat stroke. Young children and babies, older individuals, and those with health issues are most likely to be impacted.
When we talk about heat-related illnesses, we are talking about 5 main illnesses. The first is the heat stroke. Second would be the heat exhaustion. Then heat cramps. The other one would be sunburn. Okay, and heat rash. So when it comes to heat stroke, we talk mostly, the signs and symptoms of heat stroke would be, of course, a high temperature, body temperature, because heat stroke happens when the body cannot thermoregulate its temperature. Okay, normally the body would cool off by sweating. So in this case, the body cannot regulate the temperature, and the body's temperature tends to increase. Normally, this occurs when the body temperature would be 103 degrees Fahrenheit, okay? And the person would tend to experiment dizziness, headaches, okay, loss of consciousness, all right? So those are the signs of a heat stroke, okay? Then the other one is heat exhaustion, which the heat exhaustion, I myself have experienced it, and I'm sure most of us have experienced that, is the tiredness, that we just need to cool off at that moment, okay? We need to drink water, we feel dehydrated, and we can get headache as well, a little bit of dizziness, okay? So that is the heat exhaustion. Feel more tired, and it's just the heat there, that's causing all of these things, okay? And we have the heat cramps, which are the spasms, the muscle spasms, okay, but caused by heat, okay? And of course the sunburn. We all know about the sunburn. The more we are exposed to the sun, the higher the risk of sunburn. And then we have the heat rash. All right, heat rash, which occurs mostly on the neck, for example, upper part of the chest. So at the back, so those are the areas where heat rash should normally come out, right? And especially in children. This is seen mostly in children and in infants.
Being exposed to extremely high temperatures for long periods of time for leisure or work can result in severe life-threatening conditions clinically diagnosed as a severe elevation in body temperature with central nervous system dysfunction that often includes combativeness, delirium, seizures, and coma.
When it comes to staying hydrated, then of course we encourage people or everyone to drink lots of water, lots of fluids. Okay, At the same time, we do not recommend sweet drinks or alcohol beverages when the temperature is very, very hot. Okay. For people doing exercise and those strenuous work, outdoor work, then of course we do recommend those sport drinks. Okay, so those are the ways that we can stay hydrated. I think we've all experienced that, right? Of trying to run towards the fan when we feel very hot, and when the temperature is 90 or above, 90 degrees Fahrenheit or above, and then we put those electric fans in front of us. We can feel that generating waves of hot wind, let's say. All right, and so that is not really recommended. Okay, especially when the temperature is so hot. So that won't help. Okay, that can generate even more the risk not to do these heat-related illnesses. So instead of doing that, it's better to take a bath or a shower, or just put wet compress on your body, okay, just to cool off. To experiment a heat stroke, your body temperature needs to be 100 or above, okay? So it's like fever, no? Fever is 100.4 and above, right? So that's the body temperature. But when you experience that, the difference here between the heat stroke and the heat exhaustion would be the neurological clinical manifestation. All right. So a heat stroke, as I mentioned, the person would be very with headache or dizziness, but mostly would be with a loss of can present loss of consciousness. Okay, so when this happens, of course, we do not recommend to give water or any fluids or anything to by mouth, no, at that moment. Okay, the first thing to do is to bring down the body temperature.
Children left in cars for even short periods of time also risk death by hyperthermia.
That is very important. Okay, to have your pet in a shady area with enough water and the water kept in a shady area. Okay. And very important is not to leave kids in the car, or pets in the car as well, okay? Especially when we are submitted to high temperatures, no? It's very hot outside, and that they are a risk factor already to suffer these heat-related illnesses.
For physical education instructor Didier Putt, making sure students get some exercise is important, but it has to be done under some level of precaution due to the hot weather.
What we do normally is we take 1 hour for these sports, but because of the heat, we're taking precautions where we need to be aware that the kids normally they have lots of energy, but as well they do get exhausted in the physical aspect. And when it comes to the inside the classroom, we notice that the kids already come with one energy low that does affect them in their academic, and in the physical we're trying to have different alternative, have variation in the activities that we do to help them as well, not only in the physical aspect but as well to help them enjoy the nature that we have outside.
Heat stroke occurs because of high external temperatures or physical exertion, leading to motor vehicle-related hyperthermia in children and exertional heat stroke in athletes in hot environments, respectively. During this period of time, everyone is affected, and finding comfort can be a daily task.
Es bastante difícil, muy difícil, pero la necesidad nos hace estar aquí afuera, trabajando.
Su venta, porque usted vende hielo, ¿verdad? Raspado. Entonces, ¿cómo se ve la venta?
Por ahora, digamos, está bien, diría yo. Está bien. Cuando nos llega diciembre, entonces sí, está más baja la venta, pero ahorita se está vendiendo un poco. A pesar de que la economía no anda bastante mal, nosotros vendemos siempre hielo. Es lo más barato que hay, la gente lo compra.
Por la calor.
Por la calor, exactamente. Por la calor. Yo diría de que si no tienen nada importante, ¿no? Para salir a la calle, que no salgan, que se cuiden. porque hay muchas personas, ¿no? De que, ¿cómo se llama? Les da incluso hasta cáncer en la piel, ¿no? Hasta cáncer. No todas las personas tenemos el mismo metabolismo, ¿no? Fuerte.
The young females, they would prefer a blouse like this one up here that has a little strap on it because it's more fresh, you know. Boys? Boys mainly shorts, thin cloth shorts to be around, yes.
And I see you have 2 kids. How are you dealing with the heat with your kids?
Oh, when it comes to the kids and the heat, they want to be in the pool, they want to sleep in the room with air condition, or on Sunday they want to go down the river to take a swim, grill some chicken. So that's what they would like on a Sunday.
In terms of drinking water and, juices or drinks that keep you hydrated, how are you doing that? How are you with that?
Well, for the moment, as you can see, this is the 2nd liter of water that 3 of us have been drinking for this morning. So we're drinking a lot of water, and would give them from time to time some Gatorade or something like that to get themselves rehydrated, and a lot of fresh fruits as well.
The prognosis of heat stroke in patients is directly related to the degree of hyperthermia and its duration. Therefore, besides prevention, the most important feature in the treatment of heat stroke is rapid cooling. UNICEF estimates that nearly all the world's children, which is more than 2 billion, will eventually be exposed to high heat wave frequency by 2050. So, regardless of age, ethnicity, culture, or religion, following the advice of the professionals is beyond imperative, as it can save your life and the life of your loved ones. Elmer Cornejo, Ctv3 News.
Elmer Na is the infamous police corporal who was detained following a double murder on New Year's Eve in the capital, Belmopan. Na stands accused of killing John and David Ramnarees on December 31st, 2022 at around 9:30 p.m. The entire ordeal was captured on surveillance cameras. The Ramnarees brothers were both shot mercilessly at their residence in Belmopan while they were celebrating with family to welcome in the new year. The shooter then vanished inside the home and shot Vivian Belize Ramnarees, who died days later, affixing the heinous crime a triple murder. Elmer Na had since been remanded to the Belize Central Prison awaiting trial. But on Wednesday, even though it almost went unnoticed, Elmer Na was back in Belmopan City. Reports suggest Elmer Na appeared in court yesterday for procedural in the case against him. As can be seen in the footage, Na walks out of the court handcuffed and holds a manila folder with documents. A reporter presses him for comment while a family member of the deceased, Ramnarees, exclaims a chant for justice to be served.
Mr. Na, you have anything to say? Do you have anything to say? Do you have anything to say, Mr. Na?
Justice for the Ramnarees family! 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 Justice for the Ramnarees family!
Why are you out here, mister?
Because I want to see justice for my family.
What went through your mind when you saw Elmer Na walking just now?
Hatred.
Do you expect that this case will proceed fast or will it take long?
Well, I really can't answer that question.
Do you have faith in the justice system?
A little.
39-year-old Corporal Elmer Na was unrepresented when he appeared in the Belmopan court. Minister of Labor and Rural Development Oscar Requena will not be charged for the accident he was involved in on the night of April 30th. In order to avoid colliding into a motorcyclist across his path, the minister swerved and slammed into a long post. Today, when asked by Leader of the Opposition, Moses Barrow, whether charges would be laid, Minister of Home Affairs Karim Musa said there would be none based on the police investigation and specifically refuted claims that the minister left the scene before police arrived to investigate and that the accident was not reported.
This matter has been addressed already by the Commissioner of Police and myself as Minister in the media. But certainly it is worth reiterating and repeating the circumstances surrounding this particular case. As you know, Madam Speaker, on the 30th of April, Sunday at about 8:10 p.m., the member for Toledo West was traveling in his government-issued motor vehicle. It was a Chevy Silverado, traveling in a southerly direction while doing work within his constituency on that evening. And he, unfortunately and regrettably, was engaged in a traffic accident while traveling, like I said, in a southerly direction. A motorcycle that was coming from the opposite direction came into his path, which prompted the minister to have to take very swift action and veered off of the highway, crashing into a lamppost. Thankfully, Madam Speaker, we do not have any fatalities. Thankfully, the minister took very swift action in avoiding colliding with the oncoming traffic. The minister stayed at the scene, contrary to UDP propaganda. He stayed at the scene, I think, for some 45 minutes, awaiting the arrival of the police. His airbag had been deployed, hitting him in the face. He was certainly shaken up, as has been mentioned again in the media, disoriented. A lot of his supporters, a lot of the villagers came out to the scene and actually recommended that the minister seek medical attention. Like I said, it was quite some time before the police arrived. This is rural Belize. The minister, because of his condition, having suffered that accident, took the advice of the people at the scene and thereafter went home to recover and to rest. And so, Madam Speaker, it was thereafter, I believe after a day of recovery and resting, the minister made a police report. So it's not as though he did not report the traffic accident. It is a matter of fact that he did report the traffic accident. And as the member, the leader of the opposition would know, it is not for the minister to lay charges. And I don't know how it was done in the past in terms of a minister's involvement in cases, because we are all very familiar with the case of the member for Collett's motor vehicle being driven into the sea, for which no one was charged. I don't even know if any report was made of that incident, but certainly you can count on the fact that there was no ministerial involvement or meddling on my part. I didn't call anybody from the Punta Gorda police station, nor the commissioner. I let the investigation take its course. And so this is certainly not a situation like that where a vehicle was deliberately driven into the sea. This is a situation where a minister was actually saving the life of another individual, risking his own life and crashing into a lamppost. And so the police has done their investigation. These are the facts coming out of that investigation, and they have indicated that there was no offense committed by the minister from Toledo West.
At the request of the leader of the opposition, the police report will be shared with him. Dengue is a viral infection that spreads from the Aedes aegypti mosquitoes to people. It is more common in tropical and subtropical climates, and though it is a topic widely spoken of, the viral infection persists in our midst and has prompted the Ministry of Health and Wellness under the Vector Control Unit to spring into action. Today, members of the Vector Control sat on our Despierta Belize's couch to speak about the pressing matter since we have seen a spike in cases recently here in Orange Walk.
Las noticias están diciendo que a los hermanos vecinos de México tienen dengue.
Okay.
Ahí hay bastante dengue ahorita por el momento. Y nosotros beliceños vamos a pasear ahí. Y ahí lo traemos. No lo puedo decir de allá, puede venir, pero Guatemala también tiene, Salvador, todo allá tiene dengue, pero como les digo, varios de nosotros vamos a pasear en diferentes países y a veces el mosquito los pica y nos notamos, y cuando llegamos acá 2 semanas ya comenzamos a presentar síntomas. Y ese es el dengue. Esa es una buena pregunta. Este mosquito, a chupar sangre, él va a descansar porque no puede volar muy lejos porque ya está lleno. Él va en la oscuridad de la esquina de la casa o donde está fresco. Descansa un rato donde él piensa que está salvo, que nadie lo puede ver, nadie lo va a matar. Cuando él siente que este mosquito ya puede volar, él sale afuera a buscar depósitos con agua, principalmente como llantas, latas, botellas, cáscaras de coco, toda cosa que pueda guardar agua. Por ejemplo, si usted tiene una llanta en su patio, este mosquito a chupar sangre, él va a depositar su huevecillo en esa llanta. Y para que mire que este mosquito es muy inteligente, que este mosquito no deposita todos sus huevecillos en una llanta. Él va, porque un mosquito ova hasta 100 a 120 huevecillos, hembra mosquito. Así que imagínense miles de mosquitos que estén ovando, ¿cuántos mosquitos tenemos? Por el momento tenemos casos de dengue que está saliendo todos los días, tenemos 2, 3, 4 casos de dengue todos los días en diferentes aldeas, incluyendo el pueblo también. Y por eso estamos aquí para mandar estos mensajes que por favor cooperen con nosotros y mantengan el patio limpio, porque solo nosotros no podemos. Nosotros vamos a casa por casa, chequear los patios y miramos llanta, miramos tambos destapados, lo tratamos, le ponemos unas pastillas adentro para que si ese mosquito va y deposita sus huevos ahí, no brotan los mosquitos.
Okay.
Pero al terminar, si no se bota o no se destruye ese contenido como una llanta, ya después de 3 meses ya no trabaja la pastilla.
Okay.
Así que puede brotar más mosquitos ahí.
Most people who get dengue won't have symptoms, but for those that do, the most common symptoms are high fever, headache, body aches, nausea, and rash. Most will also get better in 1 or 2 weeks, while in extreme cases, some people develop severe dengue and may need medical attention. In severe cases, dengue can be fatal. The Ministry of Health recognizes the need to work in conjunction with the public to better combat the disease.
Cada mes sí tenemos 2, 3, 4, pero ahora estamos viendo un aumento más, 3 veces doble de los otros meses pasados. Y es por eso que estamos aquí para mandar este mensaje que por favor cooperen con nosotros, los ayuden, porque nosotros solos no podemos, necesitamos ayuda de ustedes allá afuera que cooperen con nosotros. ¿Cómo los pueden ayudar? Mantener sus patios limpios, destruir todo que pueda aguantar agua. Si mira el vehículo pasando, fumigando en las calles, por favor permitan que abran sus puertas para que así lo puedan fumigar. Así todo el veneno que entra adentro, ese mosquito se muere. Hay muchos que dicen, esta cosa huele mal, es cierto, pero es cierto, pero tenemos que hacerlo para destruir esos mosquitos, si no los va a matar a los otros.
Dengue is treated with pain medicine as there is no specific treatment currently. Individuals who are infected for the second time are at greater risk of severe dengue. Severe dengue symptoms often come after the fever has gone away. Preventing mosquito bites is the best way to avoid getting dengue. However, the symptoms of dengue are oftentimes similar to other conditions. For example, COVID-19. It is for this reason that visiting your medical doctor is important to determine your health status.
Cuando una persona sabe que tiene el dengue, es importante que no vaya a tomar cualquier medicamento, principalmente la aspirina. Esa aspirina es malísimo si usted tiene dengue. Esa aspirina puede causar la muerte, que puede causar el dengue hemorrágico, que puede desangrar por dentro y puede desangrar por fuera.
Sí.
Esta enfermedad. Así que cuando usted tiene dengue, que ya y el doctor ya dijo que usted tiene dengue, mejor tomar solo Tylenol. Solo Tylenol hay que tomar cuando tiene dengue.
Ahora, hace 2 años, 3 años teníamos el COVID, ¿no?
Sí.
Mucha gente se confundió los síntomas con el dengue, igualmente con el COVID, ya que son similares. Pues ahora no debemos de descartar que aún siempre tenemos el COVID. Y entonces, como dijo mi compañero, hay gentes con tos, ¿no? Entonces, pues la tos causa dolor en la garganta y se puede causar la calentura. Es por eso que mucha gente a veces cuando se va a hacer el examen le sale que tiene dengue, ¿no? A veces muestra que tuvo dengue anteriormente, ¿no? Ese es el IgG. Entonces puede ser que la persona tuvo dengue semanas atrás, meses atrás o años atrás. Entonces, eso es lo que estamos viendo ahorita. Cuando en andamos allá afuera y encontramos pacientes con dengue, lo que hacemos nosotros, le tomamos una muestra de sangre. Ya la muestra de sangre cuando tomamos en el dedito, esa es para malaria. La malaria, pues hace como 2014 no tenemos ningún caso.
Sí, exacto.
Entonces un dato muy importante es que Belice ya se va a certificar como malaria free.
Free, exacto.
Entonces eso es algo muy importante para nosotros, especialmente para nuestro país. Creo que El Salvador es el único país que ha certificado malaria free. Ya del dengue, pues eso tiene que ir en el laboratorio privado o en el hospital para que le hagan un análisis de sangre por la vena.
Of note is that for people with severe dengue, hospitalization is often needed. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Monday, May 22nd here on Ctv3 and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/ctv3belizenews or our YouTube channel at Ctv3 News BZ. Remember to wash your hands and remain safe. From all of us here at Ctv3 News, have a safe and pleasant weekend. Thank you for watching and listening. Good night.